Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, where I go through every single episode of Doctor Who from 1963 all the way to 2024 and review them. And now we are up to Image of the Fendahl. You know, I don't think it's ever going to matter how many times I'm going to watch this episode. I'm still nowhere closer to figuring out what the hell happens in it. Okay, so this is an episode that happens, uh, picking up from two great episodes. Well, one very good episode and one really great episode of this season. Of course, the previous episode ends with the Doctor and Leela getting a new companion to the TARDIS, K9. And what's the first thing that happens? He breaks down. Happens a lot during the Tom Baker era, by the way. Long story short, K9, the prop, was so incredibly difficult to work with. It was very hard for the actors to physically act on set with K9 being operational, because the straps and the gears inside the prop were too loud, too noisy. You could barely hear what the actors were saying on screen. It's very much evident in some episodes. Actors just could not hear each other speaking to each other while K9 was working. They couldn't hear the director. They couldn't hear anything. So a lot of writers just did not want to deal with that, and they just wrote it into the script that K9 just broke down somehow in an episode. And this is the first case of that. So yeah, the first episode where the Doctor and Leela actually have K9 traveling in the TARDIS with them, he breaks down. And, well, obviously this kind of restricts the writing a little bit, because they have to find creative ways of taking K9 out of action in a lot of episodes. This, of course, meant that the Doctor and Leela were deprived of his assistance, both in the intelligence sense and also in the offensive sense of K9's contribution. But on the other hand, it kind of helps a lot of the writers have these episodes play out the way they wanted to, without a robot dog from the future, which kind of, I suppose, kind of, in a way, it made the threat that the Doctor and Leela were facing that much harder, because they couldn't rely on K9 to come in and save the day. But at the end of the day, but at the same time, there are also a lot of instances where K9 could have been useful, but wasn't. Okay, now I've spent about 3 minutes already just talking about K9 not being in this episode. Let's talk about what is in the episode, which is a lot of confusing ancient Time Lord mythology mixed in with pentagram satanic cults. I mean, what is it with 70s Doctor Who and Satanism? And it even crossed over a little bit into the 80s with, speaking of K9, with K9 and Company. Okay, so I've got a friend who was like, give me all the Satanists in Doctor Who. I want to see K9 fighting Satanists because of that one K9 and Company thing. But what is the deal with that? I never really understood why they had to bring all that into Doctor Who. But you know what? They found a clever way of baking it into the story, saying that, oh, it wasn't actually, they were not actually worshipping some human-based satanic god. It's actually a threat that the Time Lords eliminated millions of years ago. But yeah, I don't know. I think I could have used a little bit more. There's a lot of lore and backstory to the Fendahl and what the Time Lords actually did. That's explained by the Doctor in one of the later scenes of episode 4. Like, they waited all the way to near the end to give us all these information bombs and exposition dumps about the Fendahl. Why they waited all the way to the end of the serial just to give us all the exposition we needed right before blowing it up and ending the episode on a high note is anyone's guess. Well, well, it would have much preferred if they gave us that information throughout the episode so we could actually know what the Doctor was fighting. Why was he afraid of this mysterious creature and why it was so powerful that the Time Lords had to intervene? Like, I think these are kind of necessary questions we need answered early on, and as opposed to 5 minutes before you blow the thing, the kingdom come. But yeah, that aside, uh, I like the shooting location with the mansion. I feel like it kind of looks like that type of mansion that's being used as a filming location for a lot of places. It's kind of a bit generic, but I like the way it looks. So it works. It gives it that nice ancient feeling to it. Like some of this, I liked some of the scenes that took place in the forest. That felt like those were well shot, but I'm sorry, there really isn't much I can say about this episode. I mean, the prop of the Fendaline and the Fendahl, which, by the way, I still, if someone can explain to me, is the Fendahl the big creature at the end with this thing that kind of looks like wings, or is it the woman who becomes the Fendahl, who becomes golden? Is she really the Fendahl, or is the Fendahl the creature behind her? I never. It blows my mind. I never realized what the Fendahl actually is. I thought the Fendaling were the smaller ones, but the Doctor on this rewatch I noticed that no, the Doctor mentions that the big ones are also the Fendaling, the fully grown Fendaling. The small ones are just the embryos. So what exactly is the Fendahl? Again, I think I would have liked this episode a lot more if I knew what the hell the Fendahl actually was, beyond just that exposition dump near the end. I know the Big Finish guys did a Torchwood episode with the Fendahl, with Gwen Cooper, but I don't know. I think I need to learn more about what the Fendahl is and other Doctor Who media um, to actually fully appreciate this creature. And I think if you have to rely on supplementary material that came years after the episode aired to fully appreciate the creature itself in the episode and the episode as a whole, it kind of says a lot about the quality of the episode itself. I'm sorry, this episode does not work for me. I mean, I love the Doctor and Leela's banter in the episode. I think that's the one saving grace of this episode. I love the Doctor and Leela relationship, um, continuing to blossom and just being this great Doctor companion relationship. It is one of the great Doctor and companion um, duos. One of my favorites. And yes, I'll join in on the Doctor's comment. Yes, I do really like Leela's new dress. I'll say it here. I love Leela's outfit in this episode. And you know what? I think I'm saying this in every episode, but Louise Jameson is a beautiful woman. Still is, by the way. And we should appreciate that. So I'd like to thank the producers of Doctor Who in the 70s that gave us this wonderful character, both writing wise and appearance wise. So, yeah, thank you for that. But, yeah, the props of the Fendahl look kind of gross, but I kind of like the way they operate with the string that coming out of their mouths, and you can actually hear. I don't know if it was a sound effect or if it legitimately was what the things sound like when the Fendaline were on set. The woman Thea, when she actually becomes the Fendahl or the Fendahl avatar interface, whatever you want to call it, I think that's some of the greatest makeup work we've ever seen in Doctor Who, classic or modern. I love the makeup work they did on her with the golden face, and I love what they did with the eyes and the hair and the outfit. Some of the best makeup work in Doctor Who. Makeup, not prosthetics. Very important distinction there. But overall, this episode, like I said, it exists It's an episode. It's weird that they bring in a villain that's basically what Time Lords are afraid of. You know, it's a it's weird that the villain is basically Time Lord Satan, Time Lord, a creature from Time Lord mythology, and yet the episode itself is kind of dull. Like when they brought in Morbius, that was a great episode. When they brought us on when the Deadly Assassin happened, that's a great episode. Omega, and it's still far off, but I mean the Five Doctors with Rastalon. Every time they try to bring in a villain from old Gallifrey, I'm fascinated by it. And then there's the Fendahl, or image of the Fendahl, the episode, which is just, whatever. I don't know what to say about this episode too much. I think I've spoken long enough for this episode to be considered worthy. Sorry, for this review to be considered YouTube worthy. So I'll leave it up to you. What do you think about this episode? Can this episode have been better? Let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you next time with another 4th Doctor Leland K9 episode. And this time, an episode where K9 can actually participate in the episode. And we can finally hear once again the sultry voice of John Leeson voicing the character of K9. See you then. Goodbye. Hi there. Thank you for watching the video. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.